Lieutenant Min Jun Park stared at the screen and rubbed his tired eyes. He had been watching the empty darkness of space for 6 hours straight. Nothing ever happened at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. It orbited Neptune, far from Earth, far from everything. Most days, Min Jun and his team just recorded cosmic radiation and logged asteroid movements. But today was different. "Lieutenant, you need to see this," said Specialist Lee. Her voice was tight with excitement. Min Jun floated over to her station in the zero gravity. The screen showed a wave pattern he had never seen before. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. "What is it?" Min Jun asked. "I don't know. It's not human. The frequency is completely wrong for our technology. But look at this." Lee pointed to a section of the pattern. "See these repeating sequences? That's mathematics. Universal mathematics." Min Jun felt his heart beat faster. In all of human history, they had never found proof of alien life. They had sent messages into space for centuries. They had searched and listened and hoped, but the universe had remained silent. Until now. "Run it through the translation program," Min Jun said. "And wake up Dr. Kim. Tell him it's urgent." The next hour passed in a blur. More team members crowded into the communications room. Dr. Tae-Yang Kim, their xenolinguist, arrived in his sleep clothes. He pressed his face close to the monitor, muttering to himself. "Can you read it?" Min Jun asked. "Pieces, just pieces." Dr. Kim's hands flew across the keyboard. "The mathematics give us a framework. They're using it like a dictionary. Here, this part repeats. I think it means urgent or emergency. And this is coordinates." "Where?" Min Jun leaned in. "Close, incredibly close for space, only 3 light years away." The screen flickered. More text appeared as the computer worked to translate. The words were broken and incomplete, but their meaning was clear enough. Help, need help. The Cubs are in danger. Devourers attacking. Shields failing. Coordinates attached. Any Allied fleet, please respond. "Cubs," said Lee. "They have children." The room went quiet. Everyone understood what they were reading. Somewhere in space, just 3 years of light travel away, someone was dying. Someone was calling for help, and they had children with them. "Send this to Earth immediately," Min Jun said. "Mark it Priority Alpha. First Contact Protocol." The message reached Earth 12 hours later. In the United Space Coalition headquarters, politicians and military leaders gathered. They argued for 3 days straight. Captain Hae-Jin Song sat in the observation gallery and listened to them debate. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back tight. She had fought in the Mars conflict. She had lost friends in the void of space. She understood what war meant. "We cannot respond," said Senator Williams. "This message was not meant for us. They mentioned Allied fleet protocols. We are not part of their alliance. We don't even know who they are." "Children are dying," said General Martinez. "The message said Cubs. That means they're young." "It could be a trap," another senator argued. "First contact should be controlled, planned, safe." Hae-Jin had heard enough. She stood up and walked down to the floor. Heads turned as she approached the podium. "Captain Song, this is a closed session," Senator Williams said. "I volunteer," Hae-Jin said simply. "My ship and my crew. We will go." "The Indomitable is experimental," Williams protested. "The FTL drive has only been tested twice." "Then this will be the 3rd test." Hae-Jin looked around the room. "I have read the message. Someone out there is calling for help. They are protecting their children. If we ignore that call, what does that make us?" General Martinez nodded slowly. "I will authorize a small fleet, military escort, scientific team, first contact specialists." "This is madness," Williams said. "Perhaps," said the general, "but it is human madness. We have always answered the call." The vote was close, but it passed. 4 ships would make the journey. The Indomitable would lead, with Captain Song in command. 2 military frigates would escort them, and a science vessel would come to study and document everything. Commander Ji-woo Choi reported to the Indomitable 3 days later. She was younger than Hae-jin, but she had the same hard look in her eyes. She had been born on Mars, had grown up in the colony wars. "Permission to come aboard, Captain," Ji-woo said. "Granted. You'll command our Marine detail?" "Yes, ma'am. 40 soldiers, best I could find on short notice." "We don't know what we'll find out there," Hae-jin said. "This might be a rescue. Might be a first contact. Might be a fight. My people are ready for all 3. Dr. Tae-yang Kim came aboard next, along with 20 other scientists. He carried 3 cases of equipment and had the excited look of a child going on an adventure. "3 light years, Captain," he said, shaking Hae-jin's hand too enthusiastically. 3 light years to first contact. Do you understand what this means?" "It means someone needs our help, Doctor." Yes, of course, but also, we will not be alone in the universe anymore." Min-jun Park was the last to board. He had requested transfer from Neptune Station. The coalition had approved it because he knew the signal better than anyone. "Lieutenant," Hae-jin greeted him, "your station will be communications. If we make contact, you'll be our voice." "Understood, Captain. I've been studying the signal, learning their mathematical language. I think I can establish basic communication." "Good. We launch in 6 hours." The Indomitable was not a beautiful ship. It was blocky and functional, covered in armor plating and sensor arrays. The FTL drive took up most of the rear section. It worked by folding space, compressing the distance between 2 points. In theory, it would let them cross 3 light years in just 2 weeks. In theory. The crew assembled in the main bay. 140 people total across all 4 ships. Some were excited, some were scared. All of them understood they were making history. "We don't know what we'll find," Hae-jin said over the intercom. "We don't know who sent that signal or if they'll still be alive when we arrive. But they called for help, and we are human. We answer." The engines powered up. Space folded around them like paper being creased. The stars stretched into lines. And humanity took its first step into a larger galaxy, following a distress call that was never meant for them. In the communications room, Min-jun listened to the signal. It was still broadcasting, growing weaker every day. He closed his eyes and hoped they would not be too late. "Hold on," he whispered to the empty space. "We're coming." The Indomitable jumped to faster-than-light speed, racing toward coordinates in a star system humanity had catalogued but never explored. Behind them, Earth grew small and then vanished. Ahead, somewhere in the darkness, someone was waiting for a rescue that should never have come. The Indomitable dropped out of FTL 2 weeks later. Captain Hae-jin Song gripped her chair as the ship shuddered and groaned. The stars snapped back into points of light. "Report," she ordered. "All systems nominal," called the navigator. "We're at the coordinates. And, Captain, you need to see this." The main screen flickered to life. Hae-jin felt her breath catch. A massive ship floated in the darkness ahead. It was at least 3 times larger than the Indomitable, shaped like a curved wing with elegant lines. But it was dying. Fires burned in sections along its hull. Debris and bodies drifted around it in a slow spiral. And attacking it were dozens of smaller craft. The attacking ships were black and angular, covered in weapons. They moved with mechanical precision, firing bright beams that cut into the larger vessel. "Those are the Devourers," Min-jun said from his station. "Has to be. I'm picking up their communications. It's all machine code. No living operators." "Automated weapons?" Commander Ji-woo moved to stand beside Hae-jin. "Who builds autonomous war machines?" "Someone who lost control of them," Hae-jin said grimly. "Scan the big ship. Any life signs?" "Yes, Captain. Multiple species, multiple biological signatures, but they're fading. Life support is failing." The scanner operator looked up, his face pale. "Captain, there are children on that ship. The biological markers show juveniles." The cubs. The distress call had mentioned cubs. "How long until that ship is dead?" Hyejin asked. "Minutes. Maybe an hour at most." Hyejin made her decision in seconds. "All ships, combat formation. Target those attacking craft. Fire when ready." "Captain," Ji-woo said quietly, "those machines haven't noticed us yet. Our ships are small. We could retreat. Call for more help from Earth." "In 2 weeks, everyone on that ship will be dead. Would you leave children to die, Commander?" Ji-woo smiled, cold and sharp. "No, ma'am. I just wanted to be clear, we're starting a fight, we might not finish." "Then we better fight well. Weapons free." The human ships opened fire. Missiles streaked through space. Railgun rounds followed, moving at tremendous speed. The Devourers' shields sparked and failed under the barrage. But the machines were fast. They turned toward the human fleet with terrifying coordination. Energy beams lanced out. One struck a frigate's shield. The shield held, but barely. "They're adapting," said the tactical officer. "Second volley was less effective. They're learning our weapons." "Then we don't give them time to learn." Hyejin opened the fleet channel. "All ships, ramming speed. Use your fusion drives as weapons. Make every shot count." "Captain?" The navigator sounded shocked. "You heard me. The Devourers don't expect suicide tactics. They're machines. They calculate efficiency and optimal survival. We're human. We do the unexpected." The Indomitable accelerated straight toward the Devourer formation. The 2 frigates followed. At the last second, Hyejin fired the maneuvering thrusters, spinning the ship. The superheated plasma from their fusion drive washed over 3 Devourer craft. Their hulls melted. Systems failed. They tumbled away, dead. One frigate rammed directly into a cluster of Devourers. The explosion was brilliant white. When it faded, both the frigate and 5 enemy craft were debris. The second frigate used its mass driver to fire its own escape pods like bullets. Each pod was small, but moving at thousands of meters per second. They punched through Devourer hulls like paper. The machines tried to adapt, but they could not predict chaos. They could not understand why these small ships would destroy themselves to protect strangers. In 15 minutes, the Devourer fleet was shattered. The survivors retreated, their algorithms unable to calculate a response to human tactics. "Status!" Hyejin called out. Her hands shook slightly from adrenaline. "One frigate destroyed, the other heavily damaged. We've lost shields and our FTL drive is offline, but we're alive, Captain." "And the big ship?" "Still there, still dying." "Ji-woo, take your Marines. We're boarding that vessel. Everyone we can save, we save." Commander Ji-woo Choi had done zero-gravity combat training, but nothing prepared her for what she found inside the alien ship. The corridors were too tall for humans, designed for beings twice their height. The air was thin and cold. Radiation alarms screamed on her suit display. "This would kill a human in hours," she muttered. "Then we work fast," said Sergeant Park, one of her Marines. "Life signs are this way." They moved through the damaged sections. Bodies floated in the corridors. The aliens were strange and beautiful. Some had fur. Others had scales or smooth skin in colors Ji-woo had never imagined. All of them were dead. She wanted to stop, wanted to show respect. But the living needed her more. They found the survivors in a reinforced chamber near the ship's center. The door was sealed, but human plasma cutters made short work of it. Ji-woo pushed through and stopped. Dozens of aliens stared at her. They were huddled together, adults surrounding children. No, not children. Cubs. The word suddenly made sense. Some of the young ones had fur and large eyes. Others had scales and crests. They were small and scared and very, very alive. An alien stepped forward. It was tall, covered in dark blue fur, with 4 arms and eyes that seemed too large. It wore what looked like a military uniform. When it spoke, Ji-woo's translator struggled to keep up. "You..." You are not council. What species? Why you here? Human, Ji-Woo said. From Earth. We received your distress call. Impossible. Signal was council frequency, coded for Allied fleet. We decoded it anyway. You said children were in danger. We came. The alien stared at her. Its large eyes seemed to see right through her helmet. You came. For strangers. For those not your kind. Yes. Why? Ji-Woo looked at the cubs, pressed against their parents, shaking with fear. She thought of her own childhood on Mars, hiding in shelters during the colony wars. She remembered what it felt like to be small and terrified. Because they're children, she said simply. The alien's legs seemed to give out. It sat down hard. I am Captain Vorath. This is evacuation ship. We were running from Devourers. They found us, killed our escorts. We thought we would die. You're not dead yet, but this ship is finished. Can your people move? We need to evacuate everyone to our vessels. The radiation levels in your suits. Your ship must be damaged, life support failing. Our life support is fine. That's just normal for human ships. Vorath's eyes widened. Normal? This radiation would kill my people in hours. You live in this? We're from a tough world, Captain. Now, can your people walk, or do we need to carry them? The evacuation took 3 hours. The aliens were weak, struggling in the gravity fields that humans found normal. Many could not walk through the damaged sections. The radiation made them sick, so the Marines carried them. Ji-Woo lifted a small alien cub onto her back. It had soft gray fur and made quiet whimpering sounds. It's okay, Ji-Woo said gently. I've got you. You're safe now. The cub wrapped small arms around her neck. It was so light, so fragile. Ji-Woo navigated through a section where the hull had torn open to vacuum. The alien in her arms would have died in seconds, but her suit held, her body endured. When they reached the Indomitable, Dr. Tae-yang. Kim was waiting. His eyes went wide as he saw the aliens. Magnificent, he breathed. Captain Vorath, I'm Dr. Kim. We need to get your people to our medical bay. Your ship, the conditions, my people cannot survive. We'll adjust. Lower the gravity, adjust the atmosphere, shield the radiation, we'll make it work. Ji-Woo set the small alien cub down gently. It looked up at her with huge, dark eyes. Then it reached out and touched her gloved hand. Thank you, it said in a tiny voice. The translator rendered it in accented English. Ji-Woo felt something break inside her chest. She knelt down. What's your name? Zri. I'm Ji-Woo. You're safe now, Zri. I promise. The cub, Zri, pressed closer to Ji-Woo. Even through the suit, the commander could feel the small body trembling. Captain Vorath watched this exchange. He looked at Hae-jin, who had come to oversee the evacuation. You destroyed your own ship, Vorath said, to save us. Strangers you never met. We got the call, Hae-jin said. What else would we do? Any species in the council would calculate, weigh cost and benefit, preserve their own forces. You just acted. There were children, cubs. There's nothing to calculate. Vorath made a sound, something between a laugh and a sob. What kind of species are you? Hae-jin smiled, tired but genuine. We're human, Captain, and apparently we just made first contact. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks. The Indomitable limped through space with its damaged FTL drive working at half capacity. Inside, 217 alien survivors tried to understand what had happened to them. Dr. Tae-yang Kim worked 18-hour days studying the aliens and helping them recover. He was exhausted, but happier than he had ever been in his life. 17 different species, he told Captain Hae-jin as they walked through the modified cargo bay. 17. And these are just the ones who were on that one ship. The cargo bay had been converted into living quarters. The gravity was set to 1/3 Earth normal. The atmosphere was enriched and filtered. Radiation shielding had been installed. Even with all these changes, the aliens still struggled. "They're so fragile," He-Jin observed. An alien walked past, moving carefully in the reduced gravity. It still seemed to struggle. "Not fragile," Dr. Kim corrected. "Just adapted to different conditions. Captain Vorath explained it to me. Most spacefaring species in the Galactic Council evolved on gentle worlds. Stable climates, moderate gravity, low radiation. Earth is what? A death world, Captain. By their standards, Earth is a nightmare planet. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous radiation from our sun, toxic atmosphere composition for most species. And somehow we not only survive there, we thrive." Hyejin watched as Commander Ji-woo walked past, the small alien Zri riding on her shoulders. The cub had refused to leave Ji-woo's side since the rescue. Where the commander went, Zri followed. "They seem to like us anyway," Hyejin said. "They're amazed by us, terrified and amazed. We do things they consider impossible." In the medical bay, Vorath was explaining the situation to the assembled alien survivors. Minjun Park sat in the corner with his translation equipment, making sure everyone could understand. "The Devourers are an ancient enemy," Vorath said. His 4 arms gestured as he spoke. "They were created thousands of years ago as automated defense systems, but their programming failed. They decided all biological life was a threat. They have been hunting us ever since." "How long have you been fighting them?" asked Dr. Kim. 73 years in this sector alone. Longer in others. The Council has lost hundreds of worlds, millions of lives." "And you're losing," Hyejin said. It was not a question. Vorath's shoulders slumped. "Yes, we fight defensively. We evacuate when they attack. We try to preserve every life we can. But there are so many Devourers, and we are so few." "Why not fight offensively?" asked Ji-woo. Zri was still on her shoulders, small hands tangled in the commander's hair. "Too costly. Every life lost is a tragedy. We cannot afford aggressive tactics." "But you can afford to keep losing worlds?" Vorath looked at her for a long moment. "You do not understand. We are not like you. We cannot endure what you endure. When you boarded our ship, you walked through radiation that would have killed my people in minutes. Your Marines carried us through sections with hull breaches. You fought the Devourers with tactics that destroyed your own ships. We won, didn't we? At what cost? One of your ships was destroyed. The crew died." Ji-woo's face hardened. 43 people on that frigate. I knew their captain. But they died saving 217 of your people. "That's math I'll take any day." "That is because you are from a death world," said a new voice. An alien stepped forward, this one covered in silver scales with a crest of spines. "I am Science Master Quillix. I have been studying your species since we came aboard. You are terrifying." "We saved you," Dr. Kim protested. "Yes, and that is what makes you so terrifying. You are kind and compassionate and protective. But you are also built for survival on a world that would kill most of us. Your bones are dense enough to handle gravity twice what we consider normal. Your skin resists radiation. Your bodies process toxins that would poison us. And your mind—" "What about our minds?" Hyejin asked. "You calculate acceptable losses. You use suicide tactics. You risk everything for strangers. These are not logical behaviors. These are emotional responses from beings who evolved through constant threat of death." Silence fell over the room. The aliens looked at the humans with expressions that were hard to read. Fear, yes, but also something else. Wonder, perhaps, or hope. "We're not monsters," Minjun said quietly. "We're just trying to help." "I know," Quillix said gently. "That is what makes you remarkable. You have all the tools to be apex predators. Instead, you choose to be protectors. A small voice spoke up. They saved us. It was Zriai, speaking from Ji-Woo's shoulders. The big scary machines were going to kill us, but the humans came. They fought for us. Ji-Woo carried me when I could not walk. Other cubs murmured agreement. They had bonded with the human crew during the journey. They followed the Marines around. They listened to Dr. Kim's stories about Earth. They were not afraid. The cubs understand, said an alien parent. Perhaps we should listen to them. Captain Vorath stood up straighter. I have sent a message to the Galactic Council. I told them everything, about the humans, about the rescue, about your tactics against the Devourers. What did they say? Hyejin asked. They are sending a delegation to Earth for formal first contact. They arrive in 10 days. 10 days, Hyejin repeated. She looked at Dr. Kim. We better prepare. The message from the Council was not the only one traveling through space. The Devourers had sent their own signals. When their attack fleet was destroyed by unknown tactics, they analyzed the data. They identified a new threat. They calculated a response. A massive Devourer fleet began moving toward the source of those unexpected tactics, toward the third planet in an unremarkable star system, toward Earth. Back on the Indomitable, Zrai sat with Ji-Woo in the commander's quarters. The small alien was learning human words, practicing with enthusiasm. Why you save us? Zrai asked in broken English. Because you needed help, Ji-Woo said. She was cleaning her weapons, preparing for their arrival at Earth. But you not know us? We not same. Doesn't matter, you were in danger. We could help. That's enough. Zrai was quiet for a moment. Other species not think this way. Council species calculate. Think about cost, about danger, about if saving is worth the risk. And what do you think? I think humans are strange and good. And I'm glad you came. Ji-Woo smiled and reached out to gently touch the cub's head. Me too, kid. Me too. In the command center, Captain Hyejin studied the long-range scanners. Something was bothering her. A feeling, an instinct honed by years of combat. Min-jun, she called. Are you picking up any unusual signals? The lieutenant checked his instruments. Nothing on standard frequencies. Why? Just a feeling. The Devourers are machines. They process data. They adapt. We destroyed their fleet with tactics they'd never seen. You think they'll come after us? I think we just became their priority target. Hyejin turned to face her crew. When we get to Earth, we need to convince our leaders to prepare, because I don't think we've seen the last of the Devourers. Captain Vorath approached her. He had been listening. You believe they will follow you to your homeworld? I would, if I were them. We showed them something new, something they need to eliminate. They won't ignore that. Then I will help. The council delegation will bring military advisors. We will share our knowledge of the Devourers. It is the least we can do. It might not be enough. Perhaps not. But you taught us something, Captain. Sometimes the correct action is not the safe action. Sometimes you must risk everything. Hyejin looked at the alien captain. He was afraid. She could see it in his large eyes, in the way his hands trembled slightly. But he was standing firm anyway. Welcome to being human, she said with a slight smile. The Indomitable continued its journey home. Behind it, in the vast darkness of space, signals traveled faster than light. The Galactic Council prepared their delegation, and the Devourers calculated trajectories and assembled their fleets. Earth was about to have visitors. Not all of them would come in peace, but humanity was about to show the galaxy what it meant to defend their home, what it meant to protect the innocent, what it meant to stand and fight when any logical species would run. They were going to show the universe what it meant to be human. The Galactic Council delegation arrived at Earth 3 days after the Indomitable limped into orbit. Their ships were beautiful, elegant curves of metal and light. They made humanity's blocky vessels look like crude tools in comparison. Ambassador Thalen led the delegation. He was tall and graceful, with pale green skin and 3 eyes that could see far more than human eyes. He wore robes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. When he spoke, his voice was melodic and precise. "Humans of Earth," he said in the United Space Coalition headquarters, "the Galactic Council extends greetings. You have done a great service. You saved lives that we could not reach. We are grateful." Captain Hyejin Song stood among the human delegation. She watched Ambassador Thalen carefully. He spoke beautiful words, but his body language suggested discomfort, maybe even fear. "We are honored by your visit," said Secretary General Martinez. "We hope this is the beginning of a long friendship between our peoples." Indeed. Thalen paused. "However, we must discuss a difficult matter. Our sensors have detected a Devourer fleet approaching your system. A large fleet. They are coming because of what you did." The room erupted in concerned voices. Martinez held up a hand for silence. "How large a fleet?" 300 ships. They will arrive in 4 days." 300, Martinez repeated, his face going pale. "We have perhaps 40 combat-capable vessels in the entire solar system." "Then you must evacuate. The Council will provide transport. We can save many of your people, relocate them to safer worlds." Hyejin stepped forward. "Evacuate Earth? Our home world?" "It is the logical choice," Thalen said gently. "You cannot win against such numbers. Better to preserve your species than lose everything in a futile fight." "No." The single word cut through the room like a knife. It came from Commander Jiwoo Choi. She stood with several other military officers, Zria standing close beside her. "No." Thalen's 3 eyes focused on her. "You would choose death over survival?" "I would choose to defend my home." Jiwoo's voice was hard. "Earth isn't just a planet. It's where we come from, where our families live, where our children grow. You don't abandon home just because the fight looks hard." "But it is not just hard. It is impossible. We've done impossible things before." Captain Vorath stepped forward from among the Council delegation. "She is right, Ambassador. I have seen humans fight. Their tactics are unlike anything we use. They might have a chance." "Tactics?" Thalen looked skeptical. "Against 300 autonomous warships. Captain Vorath, I respect what you have endured, but these humans are primitives from a death world. Bravery is not enough." Dr. Tae Yang Kim spoke up. "With respect, Ambassador, you don't understand what humans are capable of. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to survive. More than that, we learned to fight. Fighting and winning are different things." "Then let us teach you," said Hyejin. "Work with us. Combine your technology with our tactics. Maybe together we can do what neither of us could do alone." Thalen was quiet for a long moment. His 3 eyes studied the humans. Finally, he sighed. "Very well, but I want it noted that the Council advised evacuation. What happens next is on human hands." The next 4 days were a storm of activity. The Galactic Council shared their technology. Humans absorbed it with stunning speed, adapting alien shield generators and sensors to fit human ships. In return, humans shared their weapons. Ambassador Thalen watched in growing horror as he learned what humans considered acceptable military hardware. "Nuclear weapons?" he said, staring at the briefing display. "You still use atomic fire?" "They're effective," said General Park, Minjun's uncle and head of Earth's defense forces. "They are barbaric. The radiation alone. We told you, we're from a death world. We handle radiation better than most species." "And these?" Thalen pointed to another display. "Kinetic kill vehicles? You propel solid matter at relativistic speeds?" Cheap, effective, hard to defend against. And suicide craft? Ships designed to be piloted into enemy vessels? General Park met Thalen's gaze steadily. If it means protecting Earth, yes. We have volunteers ready to pilot them. Thalen sat down heavily. You are insane. Your entire species is insane. Maybe, Hye-Jin said from across the table. But we're insane in a way the Devourers won't expect. They calculate efficiency, optimal outcomes. They don't understand sacrifice. Neither do we, Thalen admitted quietly. That is our weakness. We value every life so highly that we cannot risk losing them. Every life is valuable, Jiwoo said. Zri sat on a chair beside her, listening to everything. But some things are worth dying for. Home is one of them. Science Master Quillix, who had come with the delegation, studied the human battle plans. This is fascinating. You're not fighting to win. You're fighting to hurt them badly enough that they decide you're not worth the cost. Exactly, said General Park. We make Earth too expensive to take. But the casualties you'll suffer will be heavy. We know, but it's our choice to make. In orbit around Earth, the combined fleet prepared. 40 human ships mixed with 20 Council vessels. The Council ships provided advanced shields and sensors. Human ships provided raw firepower and tactics that made the Council crews deeply uncomfortable. Commander Jiwoo walked through her ship's barracks where her Marines prepared for battle. They checked weapons, wrote letters home, said quiet prayers to various gods. Some were barely 20 years old. Some had gray hair. Zri followed her, small hand gripping Jiwoo's sleeve. You scared? The cub asked. Terrified, Jiwoo admitted. Then why you fight? Because I'm more scared of what happens if we don't. Jiwoo knelt down to Zri's level. Listen, when the battle starts, you stay in the protected shelter with the other cubs and civilians. Promise me. I promise. But Jiwoo, after battle, you come back? The commander felt her throat tighten. I'll do my best, kid. Zri hugged her. The small alien was trembling. Humans are strange. You so strong, but also so scared. You fight even when afraid. That's what courage is, being scared and doing it anyway. In the communications center, Minjun Park coordinated between dozens of ships and species. His translation protocols were working, but it was chaos. Too many voices, too many languages, too many different ways of thinking about warfare. All ships. This is Lieutenant Park, he broadcast. The Devourers will arrive in approximately 3 hours. Remember, we fight together. Human aggression with Council precision. Trust each other. Trust. That was the hardest part. The Council crews didn't trust human recklessness. Human crews didn't trust Council caution. They were trying to blend two completely different philosophies of warfare in less than 4 days. It should have been impossible. But Captain Vorath had organized joint training sessions. Council officers learned human tactics. Human crews learned how to maximize Council technology. And slowly, grudgingly, trust began to form. We have contact, the scanner operator called out. 300 Devourer ships dropping out of FTL. On the main screen, space rippled. The Devourer fleet appeared, a swarm of black, angular ships moving with perfect coordination. My God, whispered Ambassador Thalen from his observation post. So many. All ships, battle formation Gamma, ordered General Park. Council vessels, shields to maximum. Human vessels, prepare suicide runs on my mark. The Devourer fleet accelerated toward Earth. They had calculated the optimal strategy. Overwhelming force. Eliminate the threat. They had not calculated on human stubbornness. Mark! General Park shouted. 20 human ships broke formation and accelerated directly at the Devourer fleet. Their reactors were set to overload. Their pilots had said goodbye to their families. The Devourers tried to intercept them. Energy beams lanced out. Some human ships exploded, but others made it through. The explosions were like small suns. When the light faded, 40 Devourer ships were debris. "Now, council vessels!" Hyejin ordered. "While they're disrupted!" The council ships fired with pinpoint accuracy, their advanced targeting systems picking off damaged Devourers. Another 20 enemy ships went dark, but there were still 240 left. The battle became chaos. Human ships darted between Devourer formations, using their smaller size and aggressive tactics to stay unpredictable. Council ships provided supporting fire and shields. It was messy and desperate, and nothing like proper military doctrine. It was working. Commander Ji Woo led a squadron of fighters on a run straight through the Devourer command cluster. Half her squadron died in the first 30 seconds. She felt each death like a physical blow, but they kept going. "For Earth!" she screamed as they fired everything they had. 3 Devourer command ships exploded. The enemy fleet's coordination faltered for crucial seconds. In those seconds, humanity struck like a hammer. From Earth's surface, massive railguns fired. Solid metal moving at impossible speeds, the projectiles tore through Devourer hulls. From lunar bases, nuclear missiles launched, EMP weapons fired, frying Devourer systems. And through it all, human and council crews fought together, learning each other's rhythms, covering each other's weaknesses. Ambassador Thalen watched in stunned silence. He had thought this would be a massacre. It was, but not the massacre he expected. "They're doing it," Quillick said beside him, voice full of wonder. "The humans are actually holding them." "At terrible cost," Thalen said. He was watching the casualty reports, thousands of humans dead, ships destroyed. "Yes," Quillick agreed, "but they knew the cost, and they chose to pay it anyway." In space, Commander Ji Woo's damaged fighter limped back toward the Indomitable. Her squadron was gone. She was the only survivor, but the Devourer command center was destroyed. "Ji Woo!" Zri's voice crackled over her radio. The cub had broken into the communication system. "You alive?" "I'm alive, kid. Told you I'd come back." The battle raged for 6 more hours. When it finally ended, the Devourer fleet was destroyed, all 300 ships reduced to debris. But the cost had been heavy. 20 human ships destroyed, 8 council vessels badly damaged, 4,000 humans dead, 200 council crew members lost. Earth had won. But the victory was written in blood and sacrifice. And across the galaxy, every species in the Galactic Council received the same message. Humanity had fought the Devourers and won. The memorial service was held in Geneva, where the United Space Coalition had its headquarters. 4,000 names were read aloud, one by one. It took 6 hours. Not a single person left before the last name was spoken. Commander Ji Woo Choi stood at attention the entire time. Zri sat on her shoulders, small hands gently resting on the commander's head. The alien cub had insisted on being there. When it was over, Ambassador Thalen approached them. He looked different than he had a week ago. Older somehow, or perhaps just more aware. "Commander," he said quietly, "I owe you an apology." "Sir? I called your people insane. I said bravery wasn't enough. I was wrong." Thalen gestured at the memorial wall where holographic images showed the faces of the fallen. "This is what courage looks like. Real courage. Not the absence of fear, but action despite it." "We did what we had to do," Ji Woo said. "No. You did what no other species in the Council would do. You stood and fought when any logical analysis said to run. You sacrificed when we would have calculated the cost too high." Zri spoke up from Ji Woo's shoulders. "My teachers say humans are special. They fight for those they love, even if it means they die." Thalen reached out and gently touched the cub's hand. "Your teacher is wise, little one." Across the city, in the Coalition headquarters, Captain Hyejin Song met with the full Galactic Council delegation. The room was filled with representatives from dozens of species, All of them wanted to understand what had happened at Earth. "The battle analysis is clear," said Science Master Quillix. He projected data into the air above the table. "The Devourers should have won. By every calculation, they should have overwhelmed your defenses in under 2 hours. Instead, you destroyed their entire fleet." "How?" asked another council member, a being that looked like living crystal. "Your technology is primitive compared to ours. Your numbers were vastly inferior." Captain Vorath stood up. "Because humans fight differently than we do. They use tactics we would never consider: suicide attacks, acceptable casualty rates, aggressive maneuvers that risk everything." "Barbaric tactics," muttered one delegate. "Effective tactics," Vorath corrected sharply. "I watched my people die while we tried to evacuate safely. The humans watched their people die while charging directly at the enemy. The difference is, the humans won." Dr. Tae Yang Kim added his perspective. "It's not just tactics, it's psychology. Humans evolved on a death world. We developed traits that help us survive impossible situations: cooperation under pressure, sacrifice for the group, the ability to keep fighting even when hurt or afraid." "So you are naturally violent," said the crystal being. "No," Dr. Kim said firmly. "We are naturally protective. There's a difference. We fight to defend, not to conquer. We risked everything to save Captain Vorath's ship. We didn't even know his species existed. But we came anyway because children were in danger." Ambassador Thalen stood and addressed the council. "I have thought deeply about what I witnessed. The humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They have the capacity for tremendous violence, yes, but they also have tremendous compassion. They are warriors and protectors both." "What are you proposing?" asked the council speaker, an ancient being whose species had founded the council millennia ago. "That we invite humanity to join the Galactic Council, not as junior members or probationary members, as full members with a special designation. Guardian species." The room erupted in debate. Some council members supported the idea enthusiastically. Others were terrified of giving Deathworlders a position of authority. Hyejin listened to them argue. Finally, she stood up. "May I speak?" she asked. The room quieted. The council speaker gestured for her to continue. "We don't want to rule you," Hyejin said simply. "We don't want to conquer or dominate. We just want to help. You've been fighting the Devourers for decades and losing. We fought them once and won, not because we're better than you, but because we think differently." "And what would you do with this guardian species designation?" asked the speaker. "Teach. Train your people in tactics you haven't tried. Show you how to fight aggressively when needed. Protect your worlds while your people learn to protect themselves." Hyejin paused. "And learn from you in return. You have technology we can't imagine, medical knowledge, scientific understanding. We can help each other." Minjun Park stood up beside her. "The distress call that started all this? It was meant for your allied fleet, but it reached us instead. Maybe that wasn't an accident. Maybe the universe was telling both our species something." "What?" asked the crystal being. "That we're stronger together than apart." The vote took 3 days. In the end, it was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Humanity would join the Galactic Council as a guardian species. They would help defend Council worlds, train Council militaries, and integrate human perspectives into Council decision-making. In return, humanity would receive Council technology, medical advances, and access to a galaxy full of knowledge and friendship. The formal ceremony took place on Earth, in orbit above the planet. Ships from 40 different species gathered. Humans and aliens mixed together, learning each other's names, sharing stories. Zri stood with Jiwoo on the observation deck of the Indomitable. The small alien looked out at all the ships and made a happy chirping sound. "So many," Zri said, "all here because humans answered the call." "Not just because of that," Jiwoo said. Because we all decided to work together. My parents say I am bridge generation, first cubs to grow up knowing humans. That's a big responsibility. I'm not scared. I have good teacher. Zri hugged Jiwoo's leg. The commander smiled and picked up the cub. Yeah, kid. We'll figure it out together. On Earth's surface, Dr. Taeyang Kim opened the first interspecies academy. Students from across the council came to learn about human biology, psychology, and tactics. In return, human students learned alien sciences and philosophies. The first class was small, just 50 students total. But it was a beginning. Captain Vorath took command of the new Joint Defense Force, a military organization that combined human aggression with council precision. He worked closely with General Park to develop new tactical doctrines. This is strange, Vorath admitted one day during a planning session. A month ago, I had never heard of humans. Now I am teaching your battle strategies to the entire council fleet. General Park laughed. Life moves fast sometimes. You ready for the next challenge? What challenge? Scout reports say there's a Devourer stronghold in the Outer Rim. Big one. We're planning an assault. Vorath felt fear curl in his stomach. But he also felt something new. Hope. When do we leave? 3 weeks. Enough time to train the crews. Then we train hard. The human way. Ambassador Thalen returned to the council homeworld to file his formal report. The other ambassadors gathered to hear what he had learned. Earth is a death world, he told them. The humans are products of that world. They are strong, aggressive, and difficult to kill. But they are also kind, loyal, and protective. They risked everything to save strangers. They fought when we would have run. They teach us that sometimes the logical choice is not the right choice. Do you trust them? Asked a fellow ambassador. Thalen thought about Jiwoo carrying Zri through danger, about Hyejin sacrificing ships to save council civilians, about Min Jun working for days without sleep to coordinate communications between species. Yes, he said, I trust them completely. And more than that, I am grateful they exist. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, a new distress call was detected. This time it came from a mining colony on the edge of council space. Devourers were attacking. The colony had maybe an hour before everyone died. The response was immediate. A combined human council fleet jumped to FTL within minutes. They arrived in time to save the colony with minimal casualties. The colonists were amazed. How did you get here so fast? Their leader asked. Captain Hyejin Song smiled. Because we learned from our mistakes. When someone calls for help, we answer, no matter who they are, no matter how far away. That's the human way? The colonist asked. No, said Captain Vorath, standing beside Hyejin. That's the new council way. Humans taught us that some things are worth fighting for, worth dying for. Your lives are one of those things. Back on Earth, Min Jun Park sat in his office and listened to the communications chatter from across the galaxy. Dozens of species, all coordinating together, all protecting each other. He thought about that first distress call. The one that had reached the wrong planet and changed everything. No such thing as the wrong planet, he murmured to himself, just the right people at the right time. The memorial wall in Geneva grew larger over the following years as more humans died protecting council worlds. But it was not just humans anymore. Council species names appeared there too. People who had learned from humanity that some things were worth the ultimate sacrifice. And in the civilian section of the monument, there was a special place. A statue of a human in combat armor kneeling down, arms around a small alien child. The plaque beneath it read simply, "They came when no one else would. They fought when anyone else would have fled. They taught us that courage is not the absence of fear, but love strong enough to overcome it. They taught us to be more than we were. This is the gift humanity gave the galaxy. Zri visited that monument every year on the anniversary of the battle. She was older now, studying to become a council diplomat. But she always remembered being a scared cub carried through danger by a human who chose to protect her. One year, she brought her own cubs to see the statue. "This is Jiwoo," she told them, "the human who saved me, the human who taught me what courage means." "Are all humans like this?" one of her cubs asked. Zri thought about all the humans she had known, the ones who lived, the ones who died, the ones who fought not because they wanted to, but because someone needed help. "Yes," she said, "in the ways that matter most, all humans are like this. That is why we are safe. That is why the galaxy changed. Because one distress call reached the wrong planet, and the right people answered. Above Earth, ships from 100 species flew in formation. They patrolled, they protected. They stood ready to answer any call for help. Because humanity had taught them a simple truth. No one should fight alone. No cry for help should go unanswered. And there is no such thing as an acceptable loss when children are at stake. The galaxy had changed, and it would never be the same again. All because humanity had done what humans always do. They answered the call.